When we hear the words romantic ballet, we usually think of La Sylphide, Giselle, and other works about fairy folk and unattainable love. But romantic ballet also took a different tack, exploring places and stories that their audience would have considered exotic. Le Corsaire, a ballet about pirates and harem girls, set somewhere in the Middle East at some time in the past, is one of the few remaining works of this type. Le Corsaire literally means the pirate, and was inspired by Lord Byron's poem of the same name. It's about Conrad, a dashing pirate, who, after he and his crew are shipwrecked, falls in love with Medora, a beautiful Greek girl who finds the pirates on the shore. Medora and Conrad are soon attacked by Turkish traders looking for beautiful maidens to sell as slaves. Medora is captured, but Conrad later saves her from being sold by her guardian, Lankendem, the owner of a slave market, to the local pasha. It's a complicated plot, full of twists and turns, men in disguises, cliffhanger moments, and in current productions, a great deal of virtuoso classical dancing. Eventually, Conrad rescues Medora with the help of the lovely Gulnare, the pasha's favorite slave, who doesn't seem to mind living in the harem. Special effects were also a part of romantic ballet, and the most talked about scene of Le Corsaire was the ending, a violent storm in a shipwreck. Although their ship sinks, Conrad and Medora are washed up on an island, and, we presume, live happily ever after. Today, we think of Le Corsaire as one of Marius Petipa's masterpieces, created for the Russian Imperial Ballet in St. Petersburg. But it was born far away from Russia, receiving its premiere in Paris in 1856. Two artists who had created Giselle, librettist Jules-Henri Verneuil de Saint-Georges and composer Adolphe Adam, worked with choreographer Joseph Mazilier on Le Corsaire. The great choreographer Jules Perrault brought the ballet to St. Petersburg 2 years later when he went there as ballet master. Marius Petipa, then a dancer at the Mariinsky, danced the part of the hero Conrad, and some considered it his greatest role. He loved it. He chose it for his last performance as a dancer, and as a choreographer later produced 4 productions of the ballet, adding and changing dances as the years went by, and commissioning musical additions by Cesare Pugni, Leo Delibes, and Riccardo Drigo. 2 of Petipa's dances for the ballet are sometimes performed on their own. The Jourdain Animé, in which the women of the corps de ballet and several children form beautiful patterns, dancing as flowers come to life, is one of these. Probably the most famous and most performed segment of Le Corsaire is what we know as the Corsaire Pas de Deux, which was added by Petipa to his last production in 1899. It was one of the signature works of Rudolf Nureyev, who brought it to the West and danced it with Margot Fonteyn at the Royal Ballet and at galas all over the world. There have also been major changes to the ballet. One of the most important in the Mariinsky production is that Lankendem, originally a gruff old man and a mime role, was changed in the late 20th century to a young man, and it's now a star dancing part. In some performances, his shenanigans are comic, which would be quite different from the original intention. So Corsaire today is a glorious patchwork quilt. Le Corsaire has survived partly because of continuous performance, with occasional revivals to suit different dancers, as well as director-choreographers' ideas, and also through notation. Le Corsaire is one of the ballets notated in Stepanov notation, a system of writing down ballets developed by Vladimir Stepanov in the late 19th century. Petipa's production survived until 1928. Although there were several revivals in the mid-20th century, one by the great teacher Agrippina Vaganova, the ballet was given rarely and dropped in 1956. But Le Corsaire was as hard to kill as Conrad and Medora. It survived in a version by Pyotr Gusev, staged at the Mali Theatre in St. Petersburg in 1955, which retained most of Petipa's choreography but changed the score, using other works by Adolphe Adam. Today, Le Corsaire is presented in various productions around the world. There was a short-lived revival by the great ballet master Konstantin Sergeyev in 1973, a restaging of the Gusev version in 1989, which has been filmed, and after much debate, the Gusev version was restored to the Mariinsky repertory. Ivan Liska staged a production for the Bavarian State Ballet in 2006 that includes 25 notated passages that were reconstructed by Doug Fullington, an American who's a leading expert in Stepanov notation. In 2007, Alexei Radmansky and fellow Russian choreographer Yuri Burlaka staged a revival of Le Corsaire for the Bolshoi Ballet that is heavily based on Petipa's 1899 version and includes the original 1899 scenery and costume designs. Anna Marie Holmes staged a version for American Ballet Theatre in 1998 that emphasized the virtuosic dancing. And Fullington staged a production too, based on the Stepanov notation, for the Pacific Northwest Ballet in 2016. The Corsaire has gone in and out of fashion, even in Russia, but it never goes away. Now that the ballet has entered the repertory of American and European ballet companies as well, it seems here to stay.